Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be recording this memory for the NAFSA Rainbow SIG's 30th anniversary.
And I'm having a little bit of a Oscars acceptance speech vibe going on here, where you have less than a minute to share your excitement, and certainly my excitement for being a Rainbow SIG member.
I am impressed with the efforts of the current SIG leadership in reaching out to collect information about the Rainbow SIG's history.
So one of the questions everybody always wants to know is, how did this whole thing start? Well, it really started a couple of years before it became a SIG, and we were one of the first ones. In 1991, while in Portland, Oregon, there was, to everybody's knowledge, the first program on gay and lesbian issues. It was advising gay and lesbian international students. It was given an assigned room that was in the furthest location possible. We'd actually go through a construction area to get there. And it was also the first session on Friday morning, which is a horrible time slot. But we had about 100 people show up just for the discussion. There was a lot of networking done. And from that, we decided that we'd try to form ourselves a special interest group dealing with all sorts of gay and lesbian issues, not just students, not just international students, but study abroad students, but also we included support for LGBTQ professionals.
I was one of the original signatories who petitioned NAFSA in 1993 to create what was known then as the Lesbi-Gay SIG, and which had its inaugural meeting in San Francisco that year. A group of us, including me, formed the first steering committee and elected Scott King as the first SIG coordinator.
There's still probably about a dozen of us who are still associated with NAFSA from the original group. But we've had a lot of people move on to other professions, move on in their life to a place where they're not very active.
I also want to point out that many members no longer with us started meeting informally prior to 1993, so I hope we remember their efforts as well, since they didn't have the advantage of being able to publicly advocate for GLBT rights and resources at that time.
I will never forget my first meeting, first attendance at the SIG meeting in 1998. I had just come out and I was still getting used to being out, and especially at professional meetings and events. I remember taking a deep breath, making the decision to go, walking into that first meeting, feeling very nervous and very self-conscious. It felt risky to walk into that space and align myself so visibly with the gay community. But to my surprise, there were several friends in the room.
I walked into the room and it was a haven, I have to say. It was heaven and it was a haven. And that to me has been the SIG throughout my professional experience, throughout NAFSA.
Scott Vandermeed, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but was a prominent figure in the Rainbow SIG, told me about the Rainbow SIG, brought me to the first meeting, and it was an interesting time. You know, that the meeting location was secret, so people could go there safely and not be outed and stuff.
My involvement with the SIG was my first national leadership position in international education, which opened a pathway to future opportunities. Despite some warnings from those who believed that my involvement was something considered marginal at the time might close doors for me, it was quite the opposite.
Probably the most memorable experience in the Rainbow SIG has been the showing of the AIDS quote panel. Of course, AIDS was very much hitting our community at that time. It was still very politicized.
Not only did we have a large room dedicated to the display, including panels created by NAFSA members, including two of my own, but we also invited attendees to write names of individuals whose deaths from HIV/AIDS had impacted them.
Included was a panel for my partner, who died in 1992. The display was very well attended, and it certainly wasn't just LGBT people. We had a lot of others there as well.
Being part of the Rainbow SIG has really changed my professional perspective on how I work. I didn't know, and I came to learn very quickly by meeting people like Kathy Seidelli and Susan Cardy and many others that it's okay to mix the professional and the personal. I wasn't out at work, so being surrounded by a supportive group of colleagues gave me the confidence to go back to my office and to really recreate my community.
The SIG became my happy space and another meaningful reason for me to attend the national conference every year.
Looking back, I appreciate how far we have come. For example, in the early years, our receptions at the NAFSA annual conference were in our hotel rooms. We pitched in to buy drinks and snacks and drag them back to the hotels. In 1996 in Phoenix, the party was in my room, which very strangely had no windows and a Murphy bed.
That particular period, 1998 to 2000, was really an opportunity for professional growth. We even changed our branding and created this beautiful rainbow pin that we were using to raise funds. So we would sell this at our conference table for $5 so that later on we would go to what is now the really famous Rainbow SIG reception to raise funds to get this room that we could rent at either a local bar so that we could socialize later on and kind of network.
The reception I attended that first year in 1998 in Washington, D.C. in DuPont Circle at a gay bar. I could not tell you the name of it. It's been too long. And it was the saddest little tray of nachos that they put out, and about a dozen of us who stood around that plate and talked to each other. So to see us go from a secret meeting at NAFSA to, the most fabulous reception of the week, and people asking me left and right if they could get an invite. And I'm like, everyone's welcome at the Rainbow SIG. So I'm really glad that the Rainbow reception has come to be what it is over the years.
We talked for years about how the group could establish a scholarship. And through the support of the Foundation for Education Abroad, that dream came true.
When I was more involved in the SIG, NAFSA used to point us out as the one that was successful. We weren't just a few people handling the SIG. We had membership turnover. We had an active leadership. We had very active membership numbers. But also we were contributing back with education programming, workshops, sessions.
To see the transformation of what the Rainbow SIG has become, the resources it's built online, the money that has been raised for scholarships, the camaraderie that has been built among colleagues, it's really been a fabulous journey, and I'm really truly honored to have been part of it.
The landscape has changed so much. In 1998, I could not have imagined all the progress we could have made, that I could become, for instance, a husband and a father of 3 kids. But here I am. Obviously, there are new attacks on our community, and especially on the trans community. But when I think about the SIG and its history, I am reminded of how far we've come.
Especially in a world where identity politics isn't going away. I think the Rainbow SIG is really an amazing place, and I'm so happy to be part of this.
This group is simply an incredible community of committed people. The work is so important. It has such an impact on the lives of students and those who support their journeys, and of professionals as they navigate their work in international education.
So many of the wonderful people that I've met over the years that have remained friends right from that very first meeting. I think I met Peter Kerrigan at that meeting, and I remember seeing Mark Lenhart there, and it was really a great journey down a fabulous trail.
After 3 decades, I count these colleagues among my closest friends.
The Rainbow SIG is really very near and dear to me, in part, as I mentioned, of my overall professional experience.
When I received my life membership a couple years ago in NAFSA, I mentioned what was then the Lesbian SIG, now the Rainbow SIG, as one of the things I was most proud of having accomplished in my 40 plus years in NAFSA, and I still feel that way.
So congratulations to the SIG on the anniversary. I'm very excited to be part of the celebration.
I'm exceedingly proud of the success of the Rainbow SIG. It has been a true joy. Happy 30th anniversary.